This is the all over slightly delayed reaction show to Barnsley versus Portsmouth. Well, we all went with high expectations going into this one, and we knew it was going to be a real test for us. But Craig, after 8 minutes, it looked bad.
It was worse than bad. It were like men against boys. It were like Premier League against League Two. It was. I mean, we start slow in matches. We know that, but that were like going in reverse. The first 10 minutes. I mean, coming out like that, you've got to get to Portsmouth because they come out like not I've ever seen. It would. we just everything that we wanted to do, we just couldn't do it right. I mean, we couldn't even foul the man. Two players tried to foul their player on right before they got the penalty, and we couldn't even foul them right. So it was a horrendous game. That first half was one of the worst performances I've seen us do in many years. I thought we'd gone back to Marais days. We there's no point as being there. The lads just slow with everything. I mean, we were trying to pass the ball out from the goalkeeper like we usually do to centre backs, even though there were a man next to him. They'd pressed that high up the pitch. They had everybody man marked, and we were still trying to pass it out. Why? Because we didn't play Cosgrove. We had no other out ball. We had no plan B because we know that Devante is not the greatest in the air. So essentially, if we couldn't pass it out, we'd just end up getting the ball anyway. But it was absolutely terrible, and their midfielder Morel run that game from start to finish. He were dropping deep, collecting off at centre backs. He were pushing up, interlinking with wingers and striker. The high line we were getting picked off all the time. That second goal was perfectly onside. He were in his own half when he set off, which is how high our line was. And there was no chance of catching him. He's like leading him. They've done work on us. You can tell they'd scouted us. They knew our line were going to be there. They knew we were going to try and pass out at back. They knew we were going to try and have width. Because as soon as Cadden went up pitch, that's where the ball was going straight in behind him. And they were causing issues after issues after issues. So, I mean, what else were we going to expect? But I've got also said second half, the changes made a difference. I don't understand why we made what I said to at time. What at half time we knew we were making changes. Connell were coming on, and so were Cosgrove. So why were they out on pitch warming up, and not in with manager? Speaking about what we're going to do in the second half. That confused me.
They weren't there for all of. They weren't there for all of it, though, were they? They were only there for half time. They went in halfway through.
Oh well, I only stayed there. I had to go out and talk to somebody, but I was there for the first like 5 minutes. I was like, "What? I mean, if we're making changes, why is all subs out on pitch?"
Yeah, so they weren't
I don't know if we went after that, but
yeah, did yeah.
I think Cosgrove come on and give us that physical. He gave us an out ball. He gave us somebody we know we could pass it up to who could hold off a defender because there were none of that happening in the first half. So it were a terrible first 45. They showed us how we should be playing. Fast passing, movement all round. I think John Russell had a terrible game. I think we suffered a lot because of his lack of movement. He is built to be defensive, and that's his game. He just stays in middle, marshals, and and breaks things up. But when it comes to us, we couldn't chase him. We couldn't get the ball off him. And I think that was mainly down to the issue we're having Russell in that midfield who isn't the quickest at closing down. He's normally letting a player come onto him to make a tackle. But yeah, things needed to change. And I hope we've learned some lessons from that match.
Yeah, I think it is one to take some lessons from there, Andy, in terms of that first 17 minutes, 3-0 down. But looking on the other side of it, it's sort of a Jekyll and Hyde performance, really, isn't it? Of the first 20 minutes, the game were almost dead and over. But if you look at it, second half, much more improved. Changes came on and made a difference, which is always nice to see. And I mean, not to bring out cliches, we lost the first half 3-0, but in the second half 2-0.
Listen, I'm sat in the family. I'm still sat in the family zone, as you can see behind me. So I can't swear, which is a bit of a pity because it'd be nice to be able to. I'll continue with cliches if you like. It were a game of two halves, most definitely a game of two halves. But you can't take it away from Portsmouth. Right from the kickoff, the pressed us and pressed us and covered us and covered us. And as Craig says, we either tried to play it from the back and made a mess of it and then finished up giving it back to the goalie to log it upfield. And when he just kicked it upfield, as he said, Devante is not the tallest. He's not the target man in that respect. And so it was just giving away possessions who invited pressure. They were much, much quicker. But I'm also good at another cliche, and this is my opinion. This is only my opinion. We was robbed. I reckon that penalty. Oh, my stars. Look, opinion will be divided. I know some people say, oh, it was a penalty. Oh, it were onside. In my personal view, from where I was sat, which were nearly in line, when that ball were played across, it were offside. And then he gets to the ball first, kicks it out of it, and as he's kicking it, he's gone off at goal. He's gone off at goalkeeper. Now, we wouldn't have got that. I honestly believe that we wouldn't have got that. So many things. What's he getting that for? He's kicked it out of it. He's got to the ball first, kicked it out of it. Not a penalty for me. Other people will disagree, I know, and bully for them. But I thought we were cheated. And then another bit of poor officiating. Oh my days. We should have had a penalty. Adam Phillips, I don't know if he got kicked down, got pushed down, mixture at all. Nothing. Not a thing. I thought there was some really poor officiating. From the linesman in front of us in the East Stand to the referee, I thought it was a poor performance by him. Absolutely poor performance. We got virtually nothing. And I'm not saying that with sour grapes, because I actually think that Portsmouth deserved to win ultimately, because that their first half performance were outstanding. We didn't know what to do. We just did not know what to do, how to deal with it. We looked slow, we looked pedantic, all that, and they were running rings round us. The second goal was a beautiful goal, absolutely beautiful goal. As Craig says, he run from onside. He's run from onside, and nobody can get close to him. And, it was a lovely goal, absolutely lovely goal. So I'm not taking anything away from Portsmouth at all, but I do think there's some poor refereeing. It took till half-time to sort it out. And I understand why you'd wait till half-time so you can get them together and explain fully the whole team what you want them to do. But in my view, it were a bit too late. We looked a lot better in the second half. And as daft as it sounds, we could have drawn. Devante were throwing it the side netting. He got it to before the goalkeeper, but got it in the side netting. That were a shame. We had Cosgrove, who it was squared back to, who skied it. That were a shame. But it's one of them things. We made a comeback, and I thought Callum Styles coming on was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So it made a difference. Dodgson going out on the left, that made a difference to both defensively and attacking wise. He put some fabulous crosses in. O'Keefe was superb on the right side when he came in. What a player he is. He was really super. Herbie fitted into that central holding position, if you want to call it that, and did really well in that. So that's got to make you think about what we do next time, the next match. Cosgrove, really good. And even when Max Waters, or his what's his brother called? His twin brother, whatever he's called. When either of them came on, he did well, and I'll put his centre back did well. We could have snatched a draw, maybe even a victory, because we missed some right chances. Snatching at him, I think we got a bit giddy trying too hard. But definitely a game of 2 hours. We lost the first half. It was whipped away from us for a variety of reasons. For me, the referee and the other officials, but particularly Portsmouth. Second half, I don't know if they thought they'd won it or if we sorted ourselves out. The changes made a big difference. When it was played up, Cosgrove, he can lay a ball off him, gets it. It's been what we've been missing, a man that can bring others into play and what have you. And we did some good football in the second half, and were it as daft, and it really does sound daft after that first half. We did really well, and we could have got something out of it. Just one of them things. A shame. Hopefully, we will learn from it. But frustrating in so many ways. Frustrating.
Yeah, I think it certainly was. A few things I do want to pick up on with what you said there, Andy. But
Yeah.
we'll go to you first, Tracy. Just as an overall, as Andy said, it was frustrating. Obviously, coming off the back of 2-0 wins, and then it's sort of his first real test after going on that run to be 3-0 down so soon and so far away from the standards of Portsmouth. It was a little bit worrying, to say the least, I'd say.
Yeah, it was worrying after about 17 minutes when their fans are giving it ole, ole, because we can't touch the ball. And you're thinking, how long have we been playing? Oh, 18 minutes. And we literally could not get the ball. Yeah, it was borderline a bit embarrassing at times. And I just thought, I've sort of listened to Neil Collins today who used the word shell-shocked. And I think that was clear because you could just see the back 3, 5, plus the midfielders just drifting. And there was just a huge gap to the two up front, who, to be fair to them, ran. Obviously couldn't do anything. I think McAtee spent so much time sliding around the floor, sort of in an attempt to block their clearances or their passes. But yeah, we were all over the place. And yeah, I suppose it's the first big test. I think we've given ourselves, the fans, a bit of hope recently. We've been looking good. Obviously, we've not played anybody you would imagine that's going to challenge so far. But well, I say that Port Vale, but where they are. but yeah, it was the first half was a lesson in football. Really, we just didn't get the ball. But as we've all said, and I disagree with Andy. I think he did the right thing. I think it's going to be, and some people are going to say straight away he should have made a difference. He should have done it after 20 minutes. I disagree. I think he did the right thing. We'll never know if it had made a difference early on, but I just think to take 3 players off at that point to try and sort of change the tactics, change the way we played, I think would have been really difficult for him to do from the sidelines. I think he needed the halftime team talk to be able to do that and to be able to get across what he needed. And clearly, it was funny because people have said, oh, we don't start very well in the second half. We started sluggish second halves. And actually, we started better in the second half. So whatever his team talk did this time, it worked. And yeah, we were, it's quite amazing to think that we were quite unfortunate to get a draw in the end. And if you'd asked us after 20 minutes, I think I'd have just taken 3-0 because I was thinking we are going to get hammered. I genuinely thought this could be Port Vale reversed. I thought they could get 5 or 6 because we were all over the place. And when Nicky Cadden, who's consistently one of our best players, I would say, certainly last season, and he started pretty well. He was just getting absolutely ragged. That Paddy Lane, who I saw him play for Fleetwood against us last year. He's decent, but he was just killing us. But yeah, it wasn't the only one. We were just all over the place. We were making unforced errors. We barely had the ball, and when we did, we gave it straight back to them. So yeah, but you got to take positives, and I think second half we showed what we can do, and now he's got some real sort of dilemmas, hasn't he, to make? Because it'd be interesting to see how we selects on Saturday now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a couple of, again, a few other things I want to pick up. We'll start with you, Craig, in terms of Collins changing it. I see both sides of what Andy and Tracy have just said. I put a tweet out today saying if I knew Collins, I wouldn't know what to do in that situation myself. In terms of after 20 minutes, it's a big statement to go and drag 4 players off, and it's not going to do their conference a world of good. But they've come on, the 3 players, they've made the difference, and obviously having an extra 20 minutes to play, to 25 minutes, it could have made that difference. But then I see the other side of, he gets to sit down, he gets to explain exactly what he expects of him during half time, and doing that whilst the game's live, it can be difficult to convey them decisions and tweaks you want to make in there. So I just wondered what your opinions are in terms of, would you have gone sort of a little bit more bold and made them changes after 20 minutes, after seeing that first 70 minutes sort of transpire, or wait and see at half time, sort of reassess and then go again in the second half?
Well, I don't think he'll have made changes any earlier than he did, really, because I think he needed to take 5 minutes just to realise what just happened, because it was so fast the way they started. I think he just needed half time to sit down and think, right, we're at the getting in. What's gone wrong? And he changed formation up slightly a little bit. He pushed one at strikers a little bit wider and pushed one at he pushed, I think, Phillips up a little bit more like he did in the previous game against Burton, which gave us a little bit on a better press. He also took Russell off, fetched Styles on, who were magnificent, just like Andy says. He gave us that extra bit of mobility to be able to close them down a bit quicker, especially Morel, like I've said. He was absolutely fantastic, along with Pack in central midfield. Them two really worked well together. When one dropped, other one went forward, and vice versa. So for me, that's what the changed. But just one thing on Portsmouth, which I think we really need to get to learn. I've been saying it for absolutely years. The way that they old manned us were unreal. Every ball that went in there, they were grabbing, they were pushing, they were pulling. I mean, a split second before we're about to head a ball, we're getting a quick nudge it back, sending us forward about 5 miles away and nowhere near heading ball. So it was just that side of the game we really need to work on, because when they're doing the same, I'm not seeing us. I'm seeing us doing the grabbing bit, but we're nowhere near strong enough. You know, we've got to be able to do the dirty side of the game better.
Yeah, I agree. It's that gamesmanship aspect of it, isn't it? It's wasting time. It's whilst you're winning, that kind of thing. I think we are too nice. We're too easy to play against sometimes. What do you think at penalty, Craig? Do you think it was a penalty? Do you think it's not a penalty? Because, and I'll be honest, Andy, I agree with you. I think it's a low ball into the box, a coming together, his shot is missed, and then you get a penalty for me. I don't think it is a pen.
This is what I don't get about penalties. He's taken a shot. Now, if you see in football in Premier League, if they shoot but then get taken out and the shot's wide, it's not a penalty. I don't get it. So if he's miscontrolled it like he has, I mean, he's sent it into the stand. If he's trying to control that, so then it must have meant it's either a shot or a miscontrol, which then shouldn't lead to a penalty. But I agree, we're offside to begin with. I think he is. It's not a massive gap, but if you're looking at, I mean, I've seen still shots, and I can just see where the line of the boxes, and he's a couple of yards in, and I think we're probably just about a yard, maybe less in line with that. So I think he was offside, but they were going to go in front no matter what we did. It don't matter whether it was a penalty or whatever. It could have slowed game down a bit, you know. That's all. That's on it positive. But yeah, I think they got lucky there, but I think it was inevitable they were going to go ahead anyway.
Yeah, I think it was that. Were it a penalty for you, Tracy? Do you think?
No, I don't think it were a penalty. I think as well, it's the inconsistencies, and it's that that's frustrating. It's like what Andy alluded to. You know, we had Phillips who, what, would he just fallen over there randomly when he was through on goal? My view was, is that a yellow? Is that a red? That's where I would think. I'm thinking, oh, is he going to stay on field, this defender, or what? Well, no, he's not going to stay on field. He's going to stay on the field because he was looking at Phillips. And then I'm thinking, have you said that's Phillips dove then? Because if Phillips is dove, why are you not booking him? So it was just, it's the inconsistencies that infuriates me. I sound like Paul Eckenbottom now, don't I? But yeah, and it's like the Cotter one as well. That was another one where, you know, yeah, in days gone by, that would never have been a penalty because he were right on the edge of the box facing the wrong way. But now it doesn't matter. For me, again, that was a push. Anywhere else on the field is giving a free kick there.
I don't think Cotter helped himself though. I mean, he threw his send down and he started, you know, he turned into one of them things outside of a car thing, you know what I mean? And his arms were everywhere, so...
Oh, come on, don't start on Cotter. Your mate, Colby Bishop, is the new tumble-down Ted. He was going down... In that second half, he was going down...
I've never mentioned the guy.
He was going down... Well, you're talking about him last flipping show, how great he is. He tumbled down every chance he got in that second half. So he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, he's a great player. One last thing about the refereeing, the poor officiating, and then I'll show up about the refereeing. Well, I think I might do. You know, it's reached a ridiculous level when the linesman at the West Stand flags for offside against us, flags for offside, and they take the free kick for offside 10 yards in our area, in our half of the pitch. That shows you how ridiculously poor and inept the performance by the officials were last night. Now then, watch it back. You watch it.
I mean,
madness.
The linesman getting covered in water was definitely the highlight of the first half.
Yeah, I think that was done on purpose, that. I think he needed it.
We needed a break. We needed a break. And it also brought a bit of smiles to the stands.
I would call him for police because the word stamping on it and everything. I was like, hey, vandal, get him. Take him down, Nick. You know what I mean? Make it a bit easier on us. You know? Destruction of property.
That'd be an interesting way to have nine men left, like you're sending off, and you're also you're in custody for next 24 hours and all, if you don't mind.
It added to the theatre, Tracy, didn't it? It added to the theatre of the evening.
It did, yeah.
Do you think, I'll come to you on this, Randy, do you think that there needs to be some sort of tactical tweak in which Collins does start to look at, because we look at when we have Kitchen at left, centre out before he left, and also Cadden, we knew that left-hand side was probably our weakest area, and sides coming down the right-hand side. You look at Burton the other day, when they're that 20 minutes, most of that came from that left-hand side. It seems there's not necessarily that issue with Jordan Williams and if it's O'Keefe or Cotter on the right-hand side. So do you think there needs to be something sort of addressed there that might need tweaking? Because it seems to be some sort of frailty.
It could be. One of the frustrating things for me last night is that we, in the first half, we spent a lot of the time literally with the back five, so that, you know, the poor devils that were in midfield and up front were chasing round after the ball. We didn't press at all, or they were just chasing from man to man because we got five strung across the back. So that certainly needs addressing. I think in general it's not bad. I think we had a bad game. And when I'm talking, I wouldn't have wanted to make wholesale changes in the first half, because I understand about it. I wouldn't want to destroy somebody's confidence by bringing them off. But when we're trying to pass it about at the back and making a mess of it, we can only go long, and there was no point in going long. There was no point in trying to do it. So I would definitely have brought Cosgrove on, because we know he can win it in the air and we know he can control the ball and lay it off. It was just coming straight back. So it weren't about changing, you know, 3 or 4 players, just the one player, so that, you know, we had an outlet. Because we didn't have an outlet, they closed us down. And other clubs are going to see that. Other teams are going to see that and do the same thing. So we've got to address that. However we do it, we've got to address that. Every time we went back, every time a different player pushed back, they followed us. You know, they were really, really quick. So I think we've got to do something different. I'm not sure that the formation for me is that bad. It's been successful generally, particularly away from home. Not been quite as successful at home with teams that come and press us. I would definitely, if I were on the opposition, pressing us really high up and covering every man, because it panics us, and it showed. So whether we need to go to a flat back four, I won't want to just because of that. I won't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and change everything, because it's a system we're used to. I said second half, I think they dropped off a bit. I don't know if they run out of a bit of steam because they were pressing so high up and so quickly. You know, it'd have been pretty difficult for any team to keep up that level of energy. And so we looked a lot better. We got it down and we passed it instead of just lugging it forward and flapping. So I don't think there needs to be wholesale. Maybe changes in personnel for this coming weekend, but I'm not sure about massive changes to maybe tweaks. You know, and like you've all said, there's changes about whether we have 2 up front or whether we have 2 wide ones with 1 striker, and we can move from one to the other quite reasonably if we need to, and you can do that in game. You don't know until you're actually in the game how it's going to pan out. So we could move to 3 up front or 2 wide and 1 up front, depending who's the one up front. So not for me. I wouldn't have thought big huge changes.
Can I just say something about us why we're weaker down left and right? Because the right wing back, whether it's O'Keefe or Cotter, has been instructed to turn into a right winger when we're in possession because they fly forward. Then Jordan Williams fills in for him. But when that happens on the other side, there's nobody to fill in for Cadden. That's the reason why it don't work. That's the reason why.
I think that's how the second goal came about, because if you look at where everyone's
Cadden had gone, the ball went straight over him.
Yeah, it's gone over that left-hand side, and it's sort of, as everyone's been where they are, Williams going to right back and then the two other sets of halves coming across, it's left that massive gap out there. Yeah. So I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, so like the filling is happening on the right, but there's nobody. I mean, there's only four backs, three backs. So one's filling in for one, but there's nobody to fill in the other side. But they're both going up. So it's lessons learned, and it's to get on training pitch and try and find solutions to them problems. So
in that way you get onto Russell though and get him to sit back in theory.
You should, but I don't think that happened because you could have quite easily put McCart at left back, and Russell should be able to fill in as a centre back. I mean, he's big enough. I think he's got the attributes to be able to do that role. But he just stays in front at line, doesn't he? So I don't know whether he's been instructed, but that could be a potential a solution to it. He's just getting the two midfielders to run up and get him to drop back. Then we can have four at back, which is something that we should have anyway, really. I don't like this straight back stuff, me. It's I don't know why you can't defend with four defenders.
No, so you're so traditional. You're just not keeping up with trends of free wing backs nowadays.
I say that, but our wing backs are so attacking now, I don't even think we could play with four at back because they won't stay there. A traditional four at back traditionally stay back, and only go up every now and again. But yeah, I don't think it'll work now, but we'll see.
No, I agree. I think it is very. The players which we brought in are for a specific style and system. As well, when you look at it, like I don't think Neil Collins can necessarily change it too much because we don't have natural fullbacks. We don't have really any natural wingers either to even play a four in middle or a four at back. So Anne's tied with this three. So I think 3 and 5. So I think it's just necessarily tweaks. Anything else? Is there any more ground to cover realistically from yesterday?
I mean, you don't have to have both wing backs bombing on both at the same time. If one goes forward, the other should be sort of coming in and filling in. So if it's Cadden that goes forward, as Craig has said, McCart can come across, Cotter can slightly drop back a little bit, or Russell drop into that bit. You don't have to. You have somebody filling in behind them, or at the side. No, they don't both have to bomb up and just leave the defence on its own. The ones that are left on their own and both go bombing up. So
what it is it's not about having problems with players filling in. It's them knowing when to do it, when to bomb on, when to drop back. They've got to have that intelligence, and that just comes with playing. So that's going to come with time, especially when we're changing players so frequently as we do. I don't think we'd ever get to a point where that's just going to become second nature.
I still think we're lacking leadership as well. Like yesterday, when you're 3-0 down and 20 minutes to go, and you need somebody on that field to grab hold of the team together and say, look, this is bad. Things are tough. We're a knuckle down and just get through to. There's nobody that seems to want to do that. We just don't have anyone that's going to basically get the team by the scruff of the neck and give them a good sort of rousting, really. Collins, to be fair, tries to and end up getting booked for it, didn't he, with getting a bit upset with the ref. But I just think, and I don't know the answer because I don't look and think, but we just don't have a natural leader that really sort of, and supports what we just said about organising a bit more and helping out. We just don't have that.
No, I think
it's a bit of like. Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, I think it's something that's been missing since Mads has gone, really. But I think we do have that replacement in there. It's just Luke O'Connell who's been injured. I think, going back to your point, Craig, on that older midfielder, I think he reads a game well above his level and well above his age, to be honest. And he's one that probably identifies and knows where he needs to be and fills in that left and right-hand side if he needs to. So hopefully in the future, it's something that'll just get picked up by him coming back in. It'd be a dream scenario, I'd imagine.
The thing one of the main reasons why I love Luca is because if he misses a tackle, that recovery pace he has to get back at the player, Russell doesn't have. If he gets beat, he gets beat and he gets left. You know, not that he gets beat often, but when he does, he tends to just be stood there like, whoa, where's he gone? You know, so, but Luca, for me, he dictates that midfield so well. And he doesn't just do that, he spreads play left, right, and he's quick when he gets on the ball. I think the variety in which he passes, I can't wait for him to get back, to be quite honest with you, because I think the options with Cosgrove up front now and everything, I think that direct ball straight up middle of pitch could just be another bow in his arsenal. But yeah, it's Russell's a good player, but for me, I think he's too one-dimensional, really, in that midfield.
See, for me, Johnny Russell he had a poor game last night, but he wasn't alone. He's had a couple of good games before last night, so I wouldn't, I won't be too harsh, and because they all had a bad game. But I do think maybe some, some changes could be coming.
I'm not
this
saying
weekend.
this. I'm not digging it in or anything.
I know you know.
The reason why it didn't work out well yesterday was just the amount of mobility that they had in midfield. I don't think he had a chance to see what was happening. You know, they were left, right, centre. They were running everywhere, and he didn't know where to put his send best because the wall just moving around. They were like flies. They were like when Styles come on, he would do it the same. He was so fast on the ball at moving and dribbling and going from left to right and causing problems. They were losing track of him as well. So I just think this wasn't the match for him. Maybe a team that's a bit slower and not as spatially intelligent as they are, then he'll be perfect. But yeah,
he's got a style all of his own that I don't like you. I don't think it was suited to last night, but it has been in previous matches. I'll give a bit of light relief if you like, Josh, that we
got them.
When 90 predictions last night, and the two naysayers that we had, with two naysayers, became the soothsayers because they were right. We had
good to see
Blackpool fan. I'll say it again. Blackpool fan. Phil Hornby said that we'd lose. Phil Hornby said we'd lose 2-0. Well, they were wrong. It were 3-2. And our very own Andy Denham, naysayer turned truth teller or soothsayer, whichever you want. 2-1, 2-1. So they both got 1 point each. Everybody else were happy clapping and just playing wrong. So yeah,
fuming about that.
Too. Well
Furious
done to
about
them
that.
Yeah, well done to them.
Yeah, a good solid point.
I hope you're both happy, Phil and Andy. I hope you're both happy.
They'll take it though. They'll move on.
It won't
be. Right. We'll move on to previewing Northampton now, unless there's anything else in which you want to rehash of last night and want to relive any more of it.
I'm not mentioning the referee again. I've had enough.